How are you? If I could get everyone's attention, if you'd make your way to your seats, we're going to go ahead and get started. There's a few good seats down on the front row if anybody's interested. We appreciate everyone being here tonight. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Chamber. I'm Diana King, the President of the Chamber, actually standing in tonight for Talbert Enfield. Talbert is the chair of our Governmental Affairs Committee, and that committee has worked hard to put together this forum tonight, and we appreciate your attendance here. I would like to take a moment before we start into the program and recognize if we have any current elected officials that are here with us tonight, if you would stand up. We'd like to recognize you. Okay, if you will, give a round of applause to them for their public service. We thank you. Appreciate you being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you will, join me for a moment for the invocation. Father, we thank you for this opportunity tonight to gather together and to hear from those who have volunteered to be available to public service here in our county. We thank you for this opportunity and this freedom that we celebrate as Americans. We pray that you be with us tonight in the things that we say and do, and that we represent ourselves well. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, at this time, if you will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Let me make a couple of general announcements for tonight. We do have the forum is being streamed, is live streamed. So we would ask at this time that you'd make sure that your cell phones are either turned off or placed in vibrate, silent mode, because Dr. Proster from the Career Academy has said that if anyone goes off, she's going to be the bad person and come get it, just like in school. They're going to take it up. Now, seriously, we do want to have the best quality live streaming, so if you would do that for us, that would greatly help us. And then one other quick announcement, we do have WTOC here and they're filming, so if you would do your best to remain seated so that you don't interfere with the camera view. And I thought I was going to have to pinch hit for you, but you made it just in the nick of time. Whew! No ticket, didn't get to jail or anything like that? Okay. Well, I'm glad that Sonny Dixon is here tonight. He did the news, came right on up here and made it real quick, so we won't ask him how fast he drove or anything like that. Made it here safely. So I'm going to turn it over to Sonny to get us started. You ready?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Glad to be here. You have no idea how glad I am to be here tonight. Man, I was cooking. Coming up I-95, I was doing great. And then I hit the parking lot. 6 or 7, look at Daryl Hutchison over there. Hey, brother. 6 or 7 changes of the light and me patting my foot like this. pulled out my phone to call Rick Lott, and I said, now somebody's going to call the TV station and say I was texting and driving. But I want to apologize to the people of the city of Rincon, Georgia. There ain't no sense coming through there like that. John Burns, they're looking for a blue Ford pickup truck. I'm going to go ahead and admit it and beg for mercy. There is no justification for coming through Rincon like I did, but I didn't hit anybody and I didn't run over anybody, and I've never done it before, and I'll try not to do it again. 35 miles an hour. All right, have we introduced our panelists yet? Are they worth a flip? All right, our panelists are, and we not no lengthy introductions or anything because we have a great number of them here. Pat Donahue, raise your hand. There you go, brother. Deanne Komanecki, Claudia Collier. Jack? Oh, yeah, look at here. Oh, no. I thought you'd done and quit. All right, let me get the right one here then. Where am I? Oh, Jack Garvin, like I can't recognize that, and Brittany Dasher. Thank you. All right, and our timekeeper, you've got to get the nicest lady around. How many do you have?
I actually have 4.
Now, how are we going to do that?
I'm going to sit right here with my stopwatch.
And when you have 1 minute to go, okay, 30 seconds, y'all begin to shift in your seat and act real uncomfortable at 30 seconds. 15 seconds, pink. Stop! And every minute after you go past the stop thing, I'm going to send $100 in your name to the Anthony Weiner election campaign. We'll run him for something. And we're going to put your name on it, all right? You just decide if you want to have that. Okay, that's the corrected one. This one of mine ain't worth a flip. And I protected that thing with my life. All right. Our county commission candidates, of course, are here tonight. And I'm going to get into that for in just a second. But I want to say just a couple of things before we get started. For one thing, it thrills me no end to see that we have people standing. We have people sitting on about every sitting device that we have, and there's still some coming across the parking lot. And if we have to find more seats, then we'll handle that. But I get sick and tired, and I know you don't want to hear me make personal references or talk about personal experiences, but they're the only ones I've ever had. I ran for public office 30 years ago, and Darrell Hutchison was there. Y'all might as well take a good hard look, because I'm what happens when folks don't turn out to vote. Y'all are slow. I was with second graders at New Ebenezer this morning that were a whole lot faster than y'all, Martha. That usually gets an immediate laugh. What is it, tension level high or something? No, I'm honest to goodness. We even have a candidate for school board president in Chatham County who says he won't go to these things because it all winds up just being people, families, members of the candidates, or just a few political hangers-on. And you know what? I don't agree with him not going. I always went no matter what, because I figure if they're going to have it, I'm going to go. If I'm going to offer for office, I have to do those kind of things. That's just my personal opinion. But at the same time, it's so frustrating as a candidate to offer yourself for public office, hope that people will scrutinize you, and then you get up here and you look at the same 12 people who were at the last 4 forums. It's aggravating. So it's good to have you here tonight. Now, if you're here tonight because you got one particular axe you want to grind, get nice, y'all. We're talking about the government of one of the greatest counties around, with such a promising future. I ain't no interloper, and again, you don't want to hear my history, but Martha Ziegler knows I got roots going back to about 1750 in Effingham County. And I'm proud of it, over on the Geechee River side. And I brag on it to tell about it from time to time. Those entrepreneurial spirits who settled this county, whether it's the Salzburgers on the Savannah River side or the Scots, Irish, Welsh, and English on the Geechee River side. And I don't know what happened in the middle. I still don't necessarily know what happened in the middle, but nonetheless, we're going to be nice. And we're going to try to address the real issues of a burgeoning county. Our county commission candidates, I reckon, are they going to come up here now? Really? What are we going to do, pray over them? District 2, Vera Jones, Dusty Ziegler. District 3, Steve Mason, Jamie DeLoach. District 5, Phil Kiefer and David Crawley. School Board candidates, District 4, Elizabeth Helmy, Faith Jadon and Ben Johnson, and Amanda Phillips. District 1, Robert Grant, unopposed. I've done it both ways, Robert. It ought to be illegal, but boy, it sure is nicer that way, I'll tell you. Ain't it the truth, John Burns? Glory and amen. Okay, we are streaming video tonight live. Maybe I should have thought of that before I started cutting the food, you know? All right, District 1 candidates. Now what? You see, I didn't even talk about all this beforehand. Bring them up. District 1 candidates are going to have 4 minutes time for remarks. Did y'all draw any lots or anything? Any Rick lots or? I know that, but when we get to the others, just so I'll know. Oh, great, put it on me, fine. This is going out on the World Wide Web. They've left it where if there's a mistake made, it's going to be on me. Thank you very much. How are things over there in Bangladesh? Watch government in action. District 1 candidate, and we have only the one. Robert Grant, get up here and don't grin too much about the situation you're in. Y'all go ahead and bang your hands together for him. He offered for public office. I'm going to take this and go get my instructions so I won't sound quiet.
Make sure you got the right sheet of paper. All right, good evening, everybody. I guess I should be the happiest one in the room. I keep telling everybody a win by default is still a win. Anyway, good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Grant. I'm running for the District 1 school board position. This is my first time ever running for a political office, and I am extremely grateful to be running unopposed. As I look around the room and drive around the county, let me say that again, I'm extremely grateful to be running unopposed. So my hat's off to all the candidates here tonight, and best luck to all of you. However, I've learned that there's a downside to running unopposed because already my phone has been ringing off the hook with suggestions and complaints. People already think that I'm already on the school board. But I have to remind them that we don't get sworn in until January. So speaking of complaints, this is one of my new favorite stories to tell about a friend of mine who I've known for a long time in this county who is always complaining about the schools, always complaining about everything up and down about the schools. And last summer, she found out that her sister was going to move to the Savannah area. She was moving from out of town. And the first thing she did was she recommended her sister to move to Effingham County. And I'm like, what? You hate it here. Well, this is the best schools around. And sometimes I feel like that's kind of the attitude of people in Effingham County. They like to complain, but when it comes down to it, we've got the best schools around. Have you ever talked to any teachers who have taught in another district and moved here to Effingham County? It's a lot of fun. You should do it because they think they've landed in paradise. And a lot of our teachers who have been here for a long time don't get that feel, so it's good for them to talk to some people that have come from other counties. I tell you these stories because I'm a big believer in the public education system. I grew up in the public education, and I'm very proud to tell everyone that my 2 children are in the Effingham County school system. Go 1 or 2 counties away in any direction from here, and we outperform almost everyone, even some private schools. We've got a lot to be proud of in this county. However, there's still room for improvement. There's a lot of things we could work on and make better. Our school system is the most valuable asset in Effingham County. We are the largest employer, and we touch the lives and families of over 11,000 students. Let's be honest, people don't move here for the great roads, the shops, and the restaurants, commissioners. They move here for the schools. That's why I moved here 10 years ago. That is our most valuable asset in Effingham County. And as school board, we're going to do my best to preserve that. That being said, every citizen in Effingham County should be happy to support the schools. I have some neighbors who live down the street that are older. They don't have kids here. Their kids are grown and away. But they go to every school function, and they give money to every kid that knocks on the door selling whatever. And I asked him one time, why do you guys do it? And they said, they do it because they feel like the more that they support the schools, the more they're helping their own property value. And that's the way I feel every citizen in this county should think. We're all stakeholders in the system. So the office of school board may not be as glamorous as a county commissioner, but I feel like it's an office of extreme importance as we make decisions based on 11,000 students and Effingham's most valuable asset. So the person filling in the open school board position should be someone who is prepared to make informed and unbiased decisions. So I look to my friends in District 4. So when you guys are picking someone who you're voting for in this election, remember how important this position is and that the future of our most valuable asset is in their hands. This is not the time to vote for someone because they're your friend or because they go to your church or because you've known them all your life. This is the time to pick a person who has no personal ties to the school system, whose position on the school board would not be a conflict of interest, who does not have extreme views, and who is not personally connected in other positions of politics in this county. You should look for the candidate who is the most approachable, highly educated, a stakeholder in the system, and someone with no personal or financial ties to the system. Someone who will make unbiased decisions about our most valuable asset. I consider myself a very lucky man, not because I'm running unopposed, that is very lucky, but I have an amazing family that is supporting me in this endeavor, and I'm lucky that my wife is a very hard worker and has a great job that allows me to put in the volunteer hours that I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And remember, you still got to get votes, so you better go vote for yourself at the very least. School board has to be one of the toughest jobs around. Having been on a city council and in the state legislature and hung around with a lot of county commissioners, I still don't know if I would ever have what it takes to be on the school board because the burdens are so challenging. I see Dr. Moore back there in the back, and I tell you what, how about a round of applause for a great school superintendent for many, many years. Another one from the left side of the county over yonder. Proud to see you. I got to tell you, Dr. Moore, you'd have been proud this morning at Ebenezer Middle School to see all of our second graders standing there. I posted this on my Facebook page, WTOC Sonny Dixon. You can like it if you want to. When we stood up and said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, I watched them. Who all was there today? Anybody else? Oh, yeah, right. You need to shave, too. Every single one of them stood up straight, looked at the flag, put their hand over their heart, and they said, I pledge allegiance to the flag. Let me tell you what, I go to a lot of schools where when we begin to say the pledge, they're walking around, looking somewhere else, hats on their head, haven't been taught. In the families or in the schools of Effingham County, these youngins have been taught such that in the second grade they were a shining example for any adult you ever want to see. I said it unambiguously on my public Facebook page this afternoon. That's how much it impressed me. School board candidates for the 4th District, come on up as I call your name. Elizabeth Helmley, Faith Jadad, Ben Johnson, and Amanda Phillips. Y'all find you a seat, comfortable seat. Sit together or apart as you wish. These people are running for the job, not necessarily against each other. That I shall say on their behalf. Oh, I got water too, looky here. Y'all doing all right? Comfortable. Be relaxed. Ain't nobody in here going to bite you or anything. Think, give your answers. Be comfortable and confident because you got a lot of people here pulling for you. Even no matter who they may be voting for, they're pulling for you because you stepped up for Effingham County. All right, for District 4, we have all of these candidates. We're going to go in reverse order, alphabetically, with opening statements of 2-minute duration. Don't make Miss Rose mad, and don't make Mr. Weiner happy. All right. Amanda Phillips.
Good evening. I'm Amanda Phillips. I'm nervous, by the way, but this is amazing to see all of you out here tonight. Thank you for coming out to listen to those who are wanting to share their views and why they are running for this position in general. I believe that quality education should be afforded to all students in Effingham County, and the students will be my top priority and main focus as your District 4 candidate and educational representative. The success or failure of the education system depends on quality teachers, top-notch administrators, and ultimately a well-informed and engaged Board of Education. I've lived in Effingham County for 12 years. I have one child in second grade at Ebenezer Elementary School and one who's starting kindergarten next year, which makes me a little nervous. She's kind of a handful. I graduated from Georgia Southern University with a degree in Management and Human Resources, also with a minor in vocal music. I attend Springfield United Methodist Church. I sing in their praise band and in their choir. I volunteer with a church group on Wednesdays called Wonderful Wednesday. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I direct the music for the children and youth activities at Springfield United Methodist. I'm a mentor, and I've worked on the school trustees board. Before becoming a stay-at-home mom, I was a manager for 6 years. It's a tough job being a manager, and I thank all of those business owners out there. I've faced many, many issues dealing with setting and providing incentive and consequences, and finding the way to motivate people the most. That is one of the hardest things. Highly motivated people are going to give you their best effort, and that is my hope as your representative for District 4.
Thank you. No reason to be nervous. Here you go. All righty. Unless I need to go back to second grade and reverse alphabetical order, Ben Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. Glad you could be here. First off, I want to thank every single person in our school system. You are appreciated more than you ever know. I encourage each and every one of you to tell each of them thank you when you see them. My name is Ben Johnson, and I am running to represent the 4th District School Board. I am 40 years old. My wife Shannon and I have 3 children who will be attending elementary, middle, and high school this fall. I've lived in Effingham County for over 30 years. I graduated from Effingham County High School in 1992, and in the winter of '94, I decided to go to Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, where I studied surveying, got an associate's degree in land surveying. I'm employed by Georgia Timber Exports, also own a catering business, so I totally understand both sides of the table for being a business owner, an employee, or being employed. So just totally understand that. There are 4 of us running for this very, very important position. There are thousands of students, parents, faculty, staff, depending on the right person, do a great job, and it's up to the voters to pick that right person. I am the right person, I can promise you. I promise to represent my district as well as the entire school system to the very best of my ability. I feel I can be a special asset to the board with kids at 3 different levels of school who also are currently active in sports, band, cheer, agriculture, FFA, Beta Club, and FCA. I want to thank everyone for their support, and please vote for me May the 20th. And just to let you know, I am announcing here tonight, whether I win or I lose, you will see me again in 2018 on the ballot. I'm here to stay. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All righty, moving down the line, reverse alphabetical order, Faith Jadon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On May 6, 1995, God tugged on my heartstrings with the following message: who will save the children? My response was, I will, Lord, not realizing the commitment that would encompass. Trust me, being here tonight was not on my bucket list. Since that day, my life has been full of opportunities to mentor children in desperate need of affection. One such child, Michael Westfall, I met while working at Effingham County High School, and I knew right away he was my son. For 3 years, I watched him grow, never once letting him know of my affections, much less my intentions. my dear husband, Dwayne, felt we had done our part by raising 5 of our very own children and taking strays in as well. He wasn't really interested in making that level of commitment, and I really couldn't blame him. But time was running out. Michael was now a senior and soon to cycle out of the system. If we were ever to get him, we had to do it now. So once more, I consulted with my husband. His response was, "Let me pray about it." My thoughts were, "Are you kidding me? It's been 3 years I've watched this child." I prayed and I asked the Lord, I don't expect my husband to feel what I feel for this child. Please place it within his heart to love Michael as I do. My husband is a truck driver for Lowe's. He had gotten off work early one day when unexpectedly he was summoned back for a special delivery, and that it was. The delivery was a wooden table for an orphanage you know to be as the Trutland House, a place that's very dear to Mr. Mosbach's heart. Guess who came out running to greet him? It was Michael. Yes, he was the oldest in the house, and he became my son 3 weeks later. God has blessed me with a son who is now about to have his first child next week. My hope tonight is that you too have felt the longing in my heart to nurture the children of Effingham County and to see my willingness to sacrifice in order that they may achieve a better life.
Thank you. No, you're fine. It saves more time for questions. Now, who's next? Elizabeth Helmley, come on down. It's all right.
Okay, that's fine. Good evening. I'm Beth Helmy. I'd certainly like to thank the Chamber and everyone involved for organizing this forum. A lot of you may be asking why I'm here. If you were listening to my husband, he would probably say because I'm crazy, because that's what he told me. And maybe I am. But I'm here, and I think all of you are here, except for those of you who are coming from the commissioners after us, is because of behind-the-scene people, the children, the parents, the guardians, the school personnel who look to this Board of Education for guidance and support. In my view, the board has 3 major things that they're responsible for. They have to establish policies. Well, policies, of course, in this day and age are mandated by the state and the federal government. But the local Board of Education has a lot to say about how those mandates are put out, and we need to take a stand on some of them. Second is the budget. Taxpayers' money is involved. You need to be sure how it's spent, where it's spent, and that it's spent to make sure that children have what they need in the school and the school personnel has what they need. The last and most important thing to me the board is responsible for is the personnel that they hire. Because you and I both know if you've got the right person in the job, then the job's done well. If you've got the wrong person, it's sorry. And the job of the Board of Education at times is to get rid of some of those sorry people. I was a principal. It's hard to do. But the damage that a sorry teacher does in a classroom cannot be undone. So, my background as an educator, over 30 years. I'm a parent. I've had 2 children, graduated from this school system. Both of them have college degrees. One works in the system. But I'm telling you, this is the person you need on your board because I know more about how this system operates than anybody at this table. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. Now it's our panelists' opportunity to ask questions, and each of the candidates will be afforded a chance to answer each question. Now, it's a maximum of 2 minutes' time, Ms. Rose, on the answers to any of the particular questions. You don't have to take the 2 whole minutes if you don't want to. If your answer is yes, and that's all, let her go. But if you need to expound on it up to 2 minutes, why, feel free. Now, I know that we probably should designate a first person each time, but I'm going to take a little bit of a reckless chance and simply ask that if the panelists wish to direct their questions to a particular person first, that you do that. If I see it getting unseemly over 3 or 4 questions, Ruth Lee will throw something at me anyway because we've got to be fair. But let's just go ahead. Is that all right, panelists? And then we'll just start that way. All right. How about we begin with Pat Donahue, the first question. Oh, you want to start that way? Well, just go ahead and do it that way then. Do you want to come up here and I'll go down there and ask questions? All right then. Let's start right down here then. Go ahead.
Do you think that having a larger school budget ultimately results in better test scores and a higher graduation rate?
Absent direction, Beth, you go first.
Money always helps, but to me, money would be better spent if you're going to put it into better teacher salaries or better school personnel salaries. To me, money thrown to increase test scores doesn't really amount to that much if it's just thrown arbitrarily. So in my opinion, yes, money helps in terms of maybe getting better quality people, but I've seen a lot of teachers do a lot with a lot less in the classroom if you've got the right person in there. Your test scores are going to depend on that teacher and what those students do in that classroom and how they're motivated by that teacher. And you can only buy that by making sure you have good people.
All right. We'll just come right down the line.
No, money can't buy everything, of course not. Teachers, I think they need an increase in pay. If you were to, you need to make their job where they enjoy it. Anymore, they don't feel welcome, they don't feel needed. They need to feel more appreciated. If they feel more appreciated and their pay scale is better, they would do a better job. And if you take care of the teachers, whether it's benefits, whether it's money, they would take care of your kids, bottom line. If you take care of the teachers and the faculty and the staff, everybody in the school system, your kids have nothing to worry about. They will love their job.
Ms. Faye?
I would agree with my components here. I feel like money does talk to some degree. At the same time, you can't buy everything, as Ben would say. I think our investment needs to be...
Try this one right here for a second. That would cut out.
Okay. I think our investment needs to be made within our teachers. You get what you pay for. And I think if we would pay them what they deserve, let them do the job they were hired to do, let them meet the needs of our children. I think making an investment in our teachers would allow our teachers to make the investment in our children.
All right. Amanda?
I agree with the other three. Money does not buy everything. It does help because you are able to, some people are highly motivated by money. But if you have a true teacher in this classroom, it doesn't matter what they're paid. There are teachers who are paid very little. I watched my mother, who was an educator, teach for 30 plus years. It wasn't about the money for her. It was about her students. Money helps. They're allowed to get more things to help them learn in the classroom. But that's not what it's about. If you have a caring, loving teacher who will help someone who is not up to par, it's the teacher that makes the difference.
Thank you very much.
Under the Race to the Top initiative and House Bill 244, Effingham County will join other school systems across the state in implementing the Teacher Keys Effectiveness System at the beginning of next year. This system uses student surveys, a minimum of 4 evaluations per teacher per year that is given by administrators, and students' test scores to evaluate teachers and ultimately decide their pay. Our current state superintendent, Dr. John Barge, says, currently teachers are compensated based on experience and degrees earned, but once we implement this new system, we can finally compensate them based on their performance. How do you feel about performance-based compensation for teachers, and what are you prepared to do to address this controversy once it's implemented in 2015?
No stated preference to begin. Ben, why don't you start? We'll come this way and end with Miss Beth.
That's kind of complicated. It shouldn't be on their experience. I believe it should be what's in their heart. Based on the experience, it's fine. That you can only get, so we got a first-year teacher. It's all what's in their heart, I believe. And if they really love their job, and they'll rise to
microphone. Let me take that right here. Let's just see if it's working now. Go ahead and start with that one.
Okay. I tend to agree with Ben. I've got a daughter who's a teacher in Tennessee. This is her first year teaching. And I guess I have because I talk to her a lot, I get a lot of the inside scoop. And I think it's vitally important that our teachers are judged based off of their personal merit. There are some teachers we know that are simply not called to teach. For whatever reason, they've chosen that profession, and oftentimes they need to leave that profession. But I never feel like a teacher should be judged off of the test scores of a child, off the students. I would hate for someone to judge me as a mother based on some of the actions and choices of my own children. So I would definitely say it's an individual matter and should be handled individually upon the teacher's merit.
Ms. Phillips.
This is difficult because as a teacher is experienced, as the years go on as an experienced teacher, you do gain a lot. But my fear with House Bill 244 is that we're only going to be teaching towards test scores, and that's not what our focus should be on. It should be on teaching our children the things they need to know, not just to have a high score. Anybody can have a high test score if all you're doing is teaching the test. Learning is not about standardization. Each child is different, and those teachers need to be able to have that creativity to teach with them, but they can't because they are soon going to be, their pay or even their job is going to be based off of test scores. Some kids don't test well. Yes, that's taken into account with the classroom. Teachers have to go through these testing to find if these children are IEP that have test score anxiety or testing anxiety. But that is not how a teacher's pay or even job should be based. There has got to be a compromise somewhere.
Ms. Helway.
I agree with the fact that I'm concerned anytime any kind of pay is on one particular thing. But one thing I think that these people haven't mentioned is the volume of time that it's going to take for the teachers and administrators to implement this instrument. When you talk about 4 evaluations per year per teacher, you've got X amount of administrators in the schools, and that's a lot of paperwork and a lot of time that they've got to devote to the evaluation process, and they also then have the teachers have to supplement and document a lot of stuff that they're doing. What you're doing is you're pulling people away from the job they should be doing, whether they're observing in the classroom and dealing with those teachers that might need that kind of evaluation instrument. I'm not saying that there might not be some people out there that kind of evaluation instrument would be good, but if you've got a good quality teacher, you don't need to burden them down with extra paperwork, because trust me, they already have enough, and burden an administrator down filling out all that paperwork, and I don't even know who's going to have the time to look at it. Because from what I know of it, and it's very little right now because I'm not as much in the system as I used to be, there's a lot of paperwork involved in this process. So my concern would be here is that put the time better into working with those teachers that might need an evaluation like that, but let's do away with this lengthy, burdensome evaluation process that's only going to drag the process of teaching down, because you're pulling teachers away from classroom instruction and you're pulling administrators out of what they should be doing in the school. Instead, they're sitting in their office completing paperwork. Thank you.
Mr. Garvin, if you would.
If I can just get a yes or no answer from you on this, we move it right along. School employees have not received a cost of living raise in 6 to 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. Would you propose an increase to said employees?
Mr. Don,
Yes.
would you begin?
Yes.
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 Yes again.
I'll be running for re-election for 4 years.
Times are good right now in the state, you know, a little bit better anyway.
All right, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, how would you make sure there is a uniform enforcement of the dress code policy, which has been viewed by some parents as a little excessive, and at times has not been enforced the same way across the board at all schools?
Ms. Phillips, if you would be.
That's a tough question. As a parent, I love the uniforms. In high school, I wish I had uniforms so I didn't have to worry about what I was wearing every day. It's difficult because you have so many children in one school that the only person who would really be able to enforce it would be the teacher, because they are in the classroom with those students every day. The administration can help if they see an infraction, but it's going to ultimately have to rely on the teacher, which in some ways isn't fair to the teacher. The teacher is there to teach, not have to deal with uniform infractions.
Ms. Helby.
It's easy. If the Board of Education implements a uniform policy, then the superintendent's job is to see that it's carried out. The superintendent tells the principals tell the assistant principals, and they tell the school what's to be done. It's no difference than saying you're not going to talk in the classroom or you're not going to talk in an assembly. It's a rule that should be enforced. The problem is you don't have the uniformity of enforcing the rule. If you're not going to uniformly enforce the rule, then don't create the rule. When I was a principal, I would tell my teachers, never tell a student what you're going to do if you can't do it. So don't create a policy when you say, well, we're not going to be able to enforce it. That's baloney. As Sonny Dixon mentioned earlier, we've got good kids in this county, and they'll pretty much do what you tell them to do if you've got consistency. They want to be told what to do. Most kids want to be told what to do. Now, you've got a hardcore group sometime that you got to deal with. There's no question. But the majority of kids, they're going to do what you tell them to do, and they take pride in that. So if you've got the right people and you've got the right direction and there's consequences, she was talking about teachers. Yes, they have to enforce rules. Why not? My gosh, if you've got a school like ECHS is what, got 1,800 kids now or something? Say if I'm wrong, I don't know. And what, you've got 100 plus faculty? You better have everybody enforcing rules, because if you don't, you got a mess. And you can make it work. I've seen schools where it's worked, and I've seen schools where it hasn't worked. But the bottom line comes down to the board sets the policy and holds the people that's supposed to enforce that policy accountable. The teachers can take care of the kids, the people in the school can take care of the kids, but it does need to be uniform, and there needs to be consequences if it's not being followed, because technically they're going against board policy when they don't follow it.
The uniform is very inconsistent. I agree with Ms. Phillips. The teacher is not her responsibility. If you want to nail it down completely, have somebody waiting at the buses when they unload, have somebody waiting at the front door. I believe there's only 2 doors they can enter the school. You may have a coach or someone else who doesn't have very many duties first thing before school starts, have them stand at the door and monitor it. But I've had kids that come home and have a Nike emblem on their sock, and they say, well, they told me to roll my sock down, which that's fine. But sometimes uniforms to fit are hard to find. Without the logos, they only order so much in the local stores. It's just hard to get that kind of stuff. But the best way to do it, take it off the teacher. Don't put that on the teacher. He or she's got enough to worry about. Put somebody in the 2 entrances. Let them police it and see what's going on, and then they can deal with it and take them straight to the principal's office or assistant principal, and deal with it from there. Don't put it on the teacher.
Ms. Jadot.
Having 6 children graduate from high school, and now grandchildren following those. I will tell you, and having to work in the school system, I will tell you, I do support the uniform policy. I think that it is meant to promote uniformity. Working at the high school where there are almost 2,000 students, I worked in the front office, and it made it quite easy to see people that were not in uniform come in through the door, because they were easy to identify and then, of course, address, because oftentimes they would walk through the front door and keep walking without checking in the office, so it made it easier to monitor. But I think the problem here is, it goes back to what Beth said, you've got to have consistency within the faculty, and I think that's vitally important, to have that consistency, that structure. I'm like you, Beth, if they're not going to, keep the rules across the board, they shouldn't have it.
All right. I'm not sure that time will afford us an opportunity to go through another complete round of questions for all of the candidates, beginning with each particular one. Are there any burning questions that maybe y'all have in common that you'd like to pose? Rick and I talked about 5 questions. There's no magic to it. We can do 5 or 6 if necessary, but if there are any that are unasked at this point, especially since Jack went so quick.
Since the lunchroom, currently both soft drinks and bottled water are offered by machines. Folks, I think, we want kids to drink about 8 cups of water a day, and adults to drink as many too. Why don't we offer cups, water, and ice in the school lunchroom? This may mean adding another machine or something. I don't know. But I would sure like to see us encourage these kids not to drink sodas, and definitely not those damn super drinks that they have now. Energy drinks, there we go. Thank you.
Who talks like I do. You know what I'm talking about? Miss Helmley, we're going to start with you again, dear.
I haven't been in every school in the county, but it's my understanding that Coke machines are not allowed technically in the school anymore. They have various water machines and those types of things. Now, I know outside the buildings or in certain gym areas, they are there. I would imagine, though, your issue with having cups of water and ice is logistically, it would probably be an aggravation to do. I can see children throwing ice on each other immediately. So there's probably a health concern too, in terms of doling something out like that. But it's my understanding, I think, pretty much that water is available. They do have to buy it. And I think all the schools allow you to drink it in the classrooms. I can't speak for all of them. I think the middle and high schools allow it to be drunk in the classroom. So yes, there's a cost to it, like $1. And you could also bring your own water from home. I think that's allowed as well, is my understanding. But the ice cups, it would be a heyday for some kids. So I'd have to veto that if I was the principal. But I think the water is available for them.
Ben?
Yeah, I agree, yes. The sanitary part of it is where would it be located? Just like she said, people's going to play in it, they're going to spill it, it's going to, pretty much get disgusted. Nobody's going to be able to police that as well as uniforms. Energy drinks, I agree, should not be in there. The drink machines outside with the Cokes and everything, that's great. But just make sure that someone stays on top of that to make sure they work. And, the kids don't lose their money, of course. But the school lunches and they need some addressing. It's, some of these kids' only meal they get. And what these kids are eating today just doesn't suit me, in my personal opinion. So, but, that'd be something to look at, of course, with the water and ice, but it would have to be, of course, the Serve Safe, certified and stuff along with the guidelines of the lunchroom.
Ms. Banks?
It's been a while since I've been in the school system as far as looking for water fountains. I'm assuming they still have water fountains in some of the hallways. They may not always work, but I've noticed a lot of kids are bringing the fancy water bottles, that's kind of become a style. So anything that we could do to promote help, I think is good, and I think certainly water would be considered one of those healthy things that we could do. And with Beth, I think the ice would probably provoke children to play, but certainly there are other ways we could, implement more water.
I know that at my daughter's school, Ebenezer, they offer water at the lunch, little bottles, just like this. My daughter's not able to drink milk right now, so it's quite convenient that you are able to get a water. As for why, I have not seen a soda, I have seen one soda machine at Ebenezer. I have not visited any of the other schools. I have no reason to right at this time. I hope to in the future, but right now I'm not. Water bottles, I think, are a very, very great thing to be able to offer in the lunchroom. Now, my daughter does take a water bottle with her to school every day. That's the first thing we do. We get the water bottle out and we get ready to go to school so that she has water with her at all times. A lot of this comes down to parents being involved with their children and being able to, offer them a water bottle to take with them. I do not agree with the sodas. In high school, we were not allowed to buy sodas unless it was after school. That should be how it is, along with energy drinks as well.
Thank you all. Yeah, go ahead, shoot. Yeah, clap for all of them. Randy, I didn't know I was so out of touch, son. Do we have water fountains in there? And they work, don't they? And they got like 2 levels on them, and it's cold usually. There you go. All right, well, that takes care of part of that problem. And then all this talk about sodas, all y'all, we never called them sodas. This is always Coke, even if it was orange or Mountain Dew. That's a discussion for another day. Man, I'm old. Good Lord. All right, what do you say, Rick? Are we closing statements and take a pillow fluffing break? And then we'll see if anybody's interested in county commission. I doubt it. We'll see. All right. We went in reverse order. Why don't we just flip-flop that and start and come right back down this way with closing statements of 2-minute duration? Right? And Miss Beth Helmley, if you will.
Okay, thank you. Y'all probably can't see this, but this is my new grandson. And you can see me at the break. I have several other pictures if you want to see them. That's part of the reason I'm running too. In 4 years, he's going to be in school. I want to make sure that he has quality educators when he gets there. There's a lot of things in this country that scares me. Common Core, we haven't talked on that tonight, but part of that scares me. Anytime you tell a teacher how they're going to have to teach is scary. And Common Core tells you how to teach. Teachers have been handed scripts to read. And that would be very insulting to me as a teacher. It's probably insulting to the administrators as well to have to hand them out. And I know that a lot of federal and state money is involved when you go against something like this, but I think that Effingham County, we talked a lot tonight about how our school system is great and how people come to Effingham County because of this school system. And if we buy into some of this stuff that to me is very, very liberal, then we're buying into stuff that's going to do away with our great school system. It's going to make us start doing some things where these things that we read about that are happening in other places in the country. And my stand here tonight, and the reason I've decided to run for this office and ask you to consider me to run, is because I don't want to see that happen in Effingham County. I'm very proud of the career I had. I'm very proud of the people that I work with. And I'm very proud of the students that I dealt with. And I'm still dealing with some of those students because I'm involved in various things with kids. But I'm telling you, if we don't have strong people to stand up against it, it's not going to happen. And as most of you know, I have a very big mouth, and I will be glad to say what I mean. Thank you.
Before Ben talks, I don't know if any of y'all noticed, she's got a phone that matches her shirt. You could go down yonder and see T. Roy Alford and buy you a Ford automobile the same color. I never thought I'd see T. Roy selling Fords. What in the world are we coming to? So y'all forgive me. Brother Ben, go ahead.
All right. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. May the 20th is the big day. Please vote for me. You won't be disappointed, I can promise you. Like I said earlier, I'm here to stay. My kids will be at all levels of school. I'll sit on this side of the table with the parent and talk to the board, who's done a great job. I just want to help them continue the progress that they've made. The Common Core, I agree with Ms. Beth, is not the best thing, but can you throw it out today and pull in something tomorrow? Absolutely not. But it definitely needs some adjusting. If you brought in something totally different tomorrow, it's still going to need work, no matter what you do. I just thank everybody for being here tonight, and just remember to get out and vote, and have a great night.
Ben Johnson, everybody. Ben, I want you to make sure they keep the second A in Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, all right?
That's right.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
All right, good. Ben Johnson, thank you. Miss Faith.
Thank you for the pleasure of participating in this forum tonight. A child is made up of much more than just a brain in need of knowledge and testing. To disregard the hunger of their soul would be presumptuous, to say the least. Unfortunately, in most cases, our teachers have been diminished to test facilitators, leaving them little opportunity to actually use their talents. Our classrooms to praxis labs, our administrators to data miners. It would behoove us as a community of educators, and we are all educators, by the way, to re-examine our motives. I have worked in the field of education for the last several years as a substitute teacher and currently am employed as a 4-H program assistant. I have worked in many schools and with every age group within Effingham County. I have seen firsthand the decline of the family unit and its effect on our children, as well as our school system. If elected, I will prayerfully consider all options prior to making a final decision, as well as strive to maintain our children's best interest. I will work diligently with other board members in an attempt to achieve the best solution for the various situations that may arise within our county. And finally, I will maintain a servant's heart, not abusing my authority, but treating others with respect and dignity so as not to belittle their concerns. Our primary constituents are our children, who unfortunately have no vote. Tonight, I have been their voice. Again, I am Faith Jadon, child advocate running for District 4 Board of Education.
Thank you very much. You hooked us all talking about John Adam Trutland, of course, that great orphanage over there as well. Now, if you'll just, no matter what happens in this election, make a pledge to me and everybody here that you'll keep educating people as to who John Adam Trutland was, because not enough people know. That's a pretty important Georgian. I ain't got anything against Oglethorpe, but Trutland has a place that a lot of people don't realize. Ain't that right, Ruth? Trutland is an amazing story. All right, Miss Phillips, if you will, last. The last shall be first, so you ought to be happy.
All right, I'm very happy.
All right.
Thank you, guys. This has been an amazing night. I thank my opponents. They really can bring the best out of everybody. It's people like them and me who want to make a difference in our community. I have to tell you, I came into this I came in because I'm here for kids. I have a true passion for students. And I don't want to see anything happen in the school system that is going to affect that. Our school system is awesome right now, and I want it to continue that way. As a former manager, I dealt with finances and budgets. I was very conservative in that aspect. I want to find places where we can help our teachers do better in their classroom. If it means a little bit more money for the teacher or for the classroom, we've got to try and find that. You know, I am vested in this community. I bought in Effingham County because I knew it was great. I am not from here, as you can tell with the soda comment.
You weren't lonely.
But this is my home, and I am going to fight as a District 4 representative for our children. You know, I'm prepared and I'm excited. This is what I was supposed to do. I'm excited. I want to be your District 4 representative. So please, May 20th, Amanda Phillips, I would love to have you vote for me because I am here for you and the students and our county. It is all about our students. And I thank you very much. Rick Lott, you have done a great job putting this together. Thank you.
Amanda Phillips. She started this off, Butch, by saying how nervous she was. Didn't seem nervous a lick right there at the end, did she? I don't think any of them did. I got to say, I've seen lots of slates of candidates for a single board seat or commission seat or city council seat. And I don't know when I've seen 4 such distinguished individuals who put forth such clear and articulate ideas. How about a round of applause for all of them? Thank you all very much. I'll have our candidates go out there. You can come up and ask them your individual questions, obviously, for this race or for the county commission race. We're going to take a 15-minute break and be right back here. These are going to be common to all of them. If they're not, perhaps you'll want to spare those that are district-specific and ask them at a separate time, but mainly those that are of general interest to the width and breadth of Effingham County. Opening statements. If you will, we'll make those right from your seat, and I'll ask you to pull your microphone up fairly closely so that Bill can hear. He has a struggle with it at his advanced age. Right, Bill Hitchens? I know, smart Alec. I hear you. All right, is everybody just about settled in their seats? Remember, this is just a nice, easy living room conversation. No matter how strongly you may feel for or against anybody, we're going to maintain civility. We're going to occupy, or we're going to function under the rules that are somewhat represented in one of the greatest statements that I ever heard from an elected official, and that was the late, great Sam Rayburn, the Speaker of the House out of the state of Texas. And he said, any jackass can kick down a barn door. It takes a carpenter to build one. So we're going to operate under the premise tonight that there are no jackasses and that there are only carpenters, and we're going to act constructively and appropriate to the ultimate carpenter of all time, and you know of whom I speak. Why don't we, oh Lord, I don't know. I don't want to keep track of which way we're going. Sitting down here writing like he ain't ready or nothing. On this knucker a long time. You're getting thick there, Dusty. I'm just saying.
Well,
Pull it.
You know the webcam adds 50 pounds.
You don't need any help. I'm just saying. Dusty, why don't you start? We'll just go right down the line. Each of you with an opening statement of 2 minutes duration, beginning now. Brother Ziegler.
All right. Why am I running? There are a lot of people who asked me to run. There are no other candidates step forward. I like choices. I'm very confident that I can do better. The entire county is currently a victim to a voting coalition on the board. There are just too many commissioners in the same line of work. The focal point has been self-serving to this coalition. The goal seems to be to eliminate impact fees and acquiesce to the Grandview lawsuit. I disagree with the District 2 incumbent. Her actions are counterintuitive to her words. She's undermined the voters by taking the chairperson's voting rights. She's taken a stance against the voters and the taxpayers by not returning over $500,000. She threw out the ethics policy. She poorly represented the county by airing the county's dirty laundry throughout a social media network connected to thousands of people. She undermined the taxpayers by making general fund dollars into slush monies to pay for special water sewer loans that taxpayers understood would be to pay for home buyers, would be paid for home buyers' impact fees. The incumbent continues to make outrageous claims of accomplishments for things that were done before her incumbency. By slushing the general fund for $12 million to pay for water sewer matters, she actually cost the county nearly $4 million more. The incumbent should not be a commissioner because she's doing business with the county and at the same time making business decisions for the county concerning issues that are just too closely related to her livelihood. She's emotionally bent to help herself. Taxpayers should not have to subsidize nor hedge her investment bets or speculations, nor should taxpayers have to bail out any of her cronies. Let's move forward. Let's vote in a diversified board and exercise an approach of democracy. Let's rejuvenate and create a better county mission statement. Let's get back to trending the budget downward and leading our local government. Let's focus on long-term planning. Let's focus on long-term traffic improvements. Let's work together with the people who want to help us develop our community, not those who want us taxpayers to subsidize their investments. Thank you.
We'll move in this direction down the line, opening statements of 2 minutes duration or less. And seek to the best of your ability to identify those attributes or qualities that lend you to the people of Effingham County, personally you.
Good evening. My name's David Crawley. Many of you know I once served as county administrator for this county. And I was recently, I've been asked what has kind of motivated me. Often in life we become motivated by our life experiences. My service as county administrator gave me some great job experience. It also provided some specific experiences that motivated me to run for county commissioner. These experiences helped me to reach the conclusion that we should expect more from our elected officials. We should expect honesty and integrity. We should not accept false accusations, misleading information, and personal agendas. Government on the federal and state level needs to return to its proper role of being smaller and smarter. This was the direction the county was proceeding. During my tenure as county administrator, the general fund budget was reduced by more than $7 million. The largest reductions occurred prior to 2011. Most recently, the budget has increased, a trend that I believe will only continue if we do not return to our strategic thinking, our long-term planning, and if we don't put the proper role in place of making our government smaller and smarter. It should be the function of county government to guarantee opportunities to our citizens through proper long-range planning, fiscal management, infrastructure development and planning, and proper implementation of rules and regulations. My experience in education will provide me the tools necessary to assure our citizens are guaranteed opportunity by supporting a safe and healthy environment which will encourage and promote a high quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Jamie DeLoach, and I'm running for District 3 County Commissioner. I was born and raised in District 3. I'm currently a branch manager for the Coastal Bank in Rincon. I graduated from Effingham County High School. I obtained a bachelor's degree from Georgia Southern in 2003, and I obtained a master's degree in 2010 from Georgia Southern. I'm currently involved in quite a few civic organizations in the county, Effingham County Exchange Club, Habitat for Humanity, the YMCA. I'm an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce. So needless to say, I'm very involved in this community. Effingham County is very dear to me. District 3 is very dear to me. It's been a part of my life all my life, and I want to see it continue to grow, and I want to see it improve. As far as some of the things I feel that has prepared me for this position is I've been a branch manager for 2 community banks in this county. I've held management positions. I've got a financial background, and I've got managerial experience, which will allow me to hold this position. As far as some of the key items that I would like to look at as far as holding this position, if you talk to anyone in District 3, the road conditions come up first and foremost. We definitely have to look outside the county, look for solutions. I've currently already been talking to a company in Palatka, Florida. I've been talking with a company here in Georgia. I think that is a key part of this position. You need to look, you need to talk with your taxpayers of your district, and you need to listen to the problems that they have, and you need to do the legwork that it takes to find solutions for your taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, each candidate continue, if you will, identify yourself and the race in which you are running.
Good evening. I'm Steve Mason. I am the District 3 Commissioner running for re-election. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. I wish we could get 3 rows of the people here tonight at a county commission meeting. that this is an amazing turnout. And the chamber and the papers for sponsoring this, and Sonny, you too, you're doing a pretty good job for your first time. I grew up in Garden City. Most of you know me. I grew up in Garden City, and I went to Groves. I moved to Effingham County in 1980, and I've lived here since then. We lived over in Meldrum before Sharon and I married, and we moved up here to Clio. Most of you know me, know what I do. I'm currently working for Imperial Sugar at Sugar Refinery. I'm a project manager out there. I handle all the capital improvement jobs. My experience has been a business owner. I've worked for many of you, paving parking lots and roadways, so I do have a lot of road experience. And we have put that to use on the board. One of the biggest problems we have is roads, and I agree with that. We're constantly battling that. We have a lot of companies that have looked at this. Robert Baker spent a lot of money working on trying to get a 150-mile project on Ash Roads. A lot of engineering done on that. Why am I running? Because I care about the county, and I care about the taxpayers in the entire county, not just the district that I run in, but the entire county, because they're struggling just like I am to pay taxes. And I want to continue to make the decisions based on conservative values, just as my voting record has shown. And with your support, I'll continue to be your 3rd District Commissioner and represent the entire county. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I'm Phil Kiefer. I'm the 5th District Commissioner here in Effingham County. And again, thanks to everybody. And I continue to be very excited for Effingham County. As a lifelong resident of the county, I've witnessed a lot of change. But my goal was to make sure when I took office that I continued the growth in a positive manner. I'm extremely proud to say that on behalf of the citizens of the 5th District and all of Effingham County, I've successfully done that. Yes, there have been difficult decisions to be made, but a lot of times the decisions weren't that difficult. The difficulty was getting something to the table so a vote could be taken. But I've never been one to back down from hard work, and it's taken that. I'm a doer. I'm not a talker, obviously. But during the 3 years that I've been serving, we've been able to reduce the budget consecutively during those years. For me, to not reduce the budget has never been an option. While we have seen a glimmer of hope in our local economy, I knew that it was important that we keep taxes down to allow the citizens to recover. By applying my hard work ethic, we were able to reduce the county's budget while maintaining the same level of service that we all as citizens deserve. Cooperation with our municipalities enabled us to renegotiate a previous agreement and save the taxpayers of Effingham County a great deal of money. That is quite a testament to the cities as well. In just the first year, I was able to help rebid the county's health insurance, and this alone saved the county $1 million annually. But it's not only what I was able to help make happen, but it's also what I was able to help prevent from happening. As we have made considerable changes in our county government, I can now confidently assure the voters of the 5th District that your county government is now working for you. I'm working for you, and I look forward to continue working for you. Thank you.
My name is Vera Jones, and I'm honored to have the privilege of serving you as a 2nd District County Commissioner. My husband Dennis and I moved here over 20 years ago. We raised our son in the public school system, and I have had the privilege of serving on the Effingham County School Board for over 6.5 years, my last 2 years as chairperson. I chose to run for both of these positions because I've always believed that as citizens we have a responsibility to not simply point out the problems but to help create solutions. I knew that my successful track record and business experience in banking and finance had well prepared me to be able to make a difference. In the school system, I set a goal of improving the graduation rate that had hovered around 66% for a decade. When I left, the graduation rate had improved from 66% to 80%. I was also part of the board that worked as a team to start this very career academy that we debate here tonight. During my term on the county commission, I've called for the renegotiation of the service delivery agreement with the cities and saved the taxpayers approximately $12 million my first few months in office. I worked to bid health insurance costs, which saved approximately $1 million. We have lowered property tax, reduced the budget, reduced the water and sewer debt, stopped unadvertised committee meetings, restored qualified local government status, restored communications to the Southern Public Safety Tower that improved radio contact to the Sheriff's Office, Rankin Police, and first responders, provided four-way stops, signage, rumble strips, Westwood's drainage improvements, successfully completed new road projects, and have more ready to begin. We saw the completion of the new jail construction, approved the SPLOST approved, greatly improved working relationships with the city of Rankin that has resulted in saving county and city citizens ISO ratings, property tax, and improved fire service. Recently, my opponents have waged a vicious campaign of false accusations, but I'm reminded of a quote by Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady. I always cheer up immensely if an attack is particularly wounding because I think, well, if the attack is personally, it means they really don't have a single political argument left. Ronald Reagan said, facts are stubborn things. All of the facts that I have tonight are out on that table. I'll be glad to spend as much time with any citizen that has any questions to hear the truth. Thank you.
Back to Lott. And now, panelists, do y'all have a preference as to which order? Oh, you gonna let Ms. Dasher go? All right, then, go ahead.
Plans are currently underway to build a fire station on Blue Jay Road in Rankin that will reduce the ISO rating of homes within 5 miles to a protection class of 4. While there are several homes in that area that are rated as a 10, most of the homes that will be affected by this new station currently have a rating of 9 or lower. As you may know, or you may not know, a rating of 9 is easily insurable, whereas a rating of 10 is next to impossible and results in very expensive insurance rates. As an insurance agent in this county, I can say firsthand that there are exponentially more citizens on the north and west ends of the county that continue to endure protection class 10 ratings and outrageous insurance premiums. There have been reports of a future station in the Tusculum area for more than a year now, but still no sign of a station. As a newly elected commissioner, which do you feel is more important? Giving everyone the chance for reasonable insurance or giving some the chance for really cheap insurance? And as a current commissioner, if re-elected, what would you say to these citizens who continue to get the short end of the stick?
A preference on a starting point, or shall we begin with Dusty and come this way? That's easy. It's late and I'm tired. Let's do that.
I would first start by saying that I'm grateful that some movement is happening over there on Blue Jay Road because I live in that area. I'm rated a 10. My insurance is very expensive right now, so that's going to be helpful for me. Good decision. The best decision, I don't know. The fire station could have been in a different place. But to answer your question specifically, I think that it should be spread out. We should focus on some of the people who are hurting very bad in the 10 ratings on the ISO and work to get theirs lower instead of get those who are rated 2s cheaper. Thank you.
The plan for establishing fire stations throughout the county was set up in the short-term work program, and I don't believe that plan has been followed over the past 2 years. It outlined which stations should be built, the order they should be built, the funding. It was all part of the long-range planning that was set up when I was county administrator.
I think a couple of the main things we need to look at is the timing and also the funds for the new fire station. Do we have the funds currently? What do we have to do to get the funds? And definitely, I think that any time that we can lower the ISO, that is important for our citizens because that does lower the rates, so that will help them out, and I think that's good for the taxpayers as far as the ISO rating goes. Thank you.
And this is one thing that is very near to me. Since the Tusculum station in question is in the northwest part of the county, and to bring you up to date, the station is underway. We just approved the geotechnical, the location, the site has been acquired. It was actually donated. The geotechnical stuff has been done. The engineering's underway. We know what the building is because it's going to be another one of the rural buildings like we have around the county. So you should see some actual activity on that within the next few weeks. The Rankin station, or the Blue Jay station, and the deal with Rankin, I agree, and I said this at the meetings, that's why I didn't vote for the Rankin station. The Rankin deal was a okay deal for the short term, but there was two things that I didn't agree with, and that's the annexation of the entire 69 acres. The other is we could have built in a different location and got a better bang for our buck. 2 years of our contract with the city of Rankin would pay for a rural station, an unmanned station, which is what we have in the north end of the county.
And what that means is we have people that's at a 10 ISO, and to go from a 10 to an 8 can make their insurance either first purchasable, or the rate from a 9 to an 8 would be 50% of what they're paying at an 8. To go from a 6 to a 4 for the county residents, there's a few 10s like Mr. Ziegler, but to go from a 6 to a 4, maybe $20 or $30 on their premiums. So I would much rather see us taking care of the areas that can't get insurance or has the higher ISOs. After we get that covered, fall back and start filling in the areas, and getting people to a 4 I agree with, but let's take care of the ones who can't get it first. I think a lot of people don't even know that we have a contract with the city of Newington, the north central part of the county. There's a triangle up there that we have a intergovernmental agreement with, and we pay them about $4,500 a year to cover that area for us.
Okay. For me, I'm not sure those numbers you mentioned were right, because I believe the benefit is greater. Personally, I would not have spent $1.6 million on a Goshen fire station that I voted against, and it's in my district, and I voted against it because it was not the right thing to do. For that price, now it did include an EMS substation, but even our own EMS department told us it was not the location to serve the county. But $1.6 million there, that's 3-4 fire stations throughout the county. There's your money, and I voted against it, but it's built.
This is one of those examples in which you can see, although we represent districts, we still want to do what's best in the best interest of every taxpayer in Effingham County, and we can do both. We can help our district and others as well. I also voted against the Rincon Fire Station, not because I didn't want a fire station there, but because it was shown to us that at that particular time it improved absolutely no one's ISO rating. It cost $1.5 or $1.6 million, and I would have voted to build 3 or 4 fire stations in various parts of the county, at least 2 of them being in the north end of the county. Although I represent District 6, but District 2, that would have been the best use of that money. We could have built 3 or 4 fire stations instead of that fire station. That was not the thing to do. And we tried to talk through that at the meeting. Additionally, the Rincon deal was one of the best, smartest things that we've done in a long time. It is the example that most citizens have really been screaming for forever, is for the county and the municipalities to learn how and start working together. We're finally doing that. This is a cost sharing so that everyone pays less and hundreds of people are benefiting in their cost. We also wrote it in a way that it's a temporary agreement so that if we find a better location, we can change it. I currently have citizens in my own district on Goshen Road, something that I wanted everybody to understand and be aware of, in 3 subdivisions that we're right there on top of the city. They're rated a 10. They don't live out in the country, and they're rated a 10. And I just learned that all we had to do was sign an agreement with Rincon to make them the first station to respond, and they'll go to a 4. So that agreement is about to hit our agenda so that we can make that happen. That'll cost no one, but it'll benefit the citizens. And it should have been brought to our attention years ago. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Jack, if you will.
The library budget has been cut in the past few years. Springfield Library is not even open on Saturday or Sunday. Do y'all foresee that we can do something to help these? I mean, kids need to have a library on the weekend, folks. Thank you.
David, if you would.
The library funding was a interesting situation from years ago. I dealt with that as when I was county administrator, and many of these same people that are up here today dealt with that as commissioners. There was funding that was previously provided by the school board, and as they had...
Might want to pay the light bill.
Wow.
As they had significant changes in their funding from the state, it meant they had to shift some funds around. So it kind of fell at a bad time from the standpoint of funding that the county was able to produce or to provide, and funding that the school board was able to provide. I think over time there needs to be more cooperative relationships built with the cities, since both our libraries are located inside the cities, to help fund those facilities a little bit better than they have been.
I do agree that we do need to have if we can, if it is possible, to have the library open on the weekends. I do, during the week, the hustle and bustle of family life is very busy. I think families have a better opportunity to use services such as that. I'm not directly familiar of the exact why we do not have the library open on the weekend, but I would be committed to looking into that to see how we can get that open on the weekend. Thank you.
Somebody's going to lose a phone. The library budget. The library was one of the agencies, one of the departments that the county funds that during, one of the hardest things for us and the commissioners that are current is we've been on the helm of the ship during the storm. During the years when there was lots of money, it was much easier than it is now. So reducing, the digest reducing has caused us to have to make a lot of cuts. The library was one, and they volunteered to cut back significantly 2 budgets ago. So in our most current budget, this is actually one of the items that during our budget time that there was no discussion with the library, and the library was asking for an increase because they had actually voluntarily reduced their budget significantly. That's what caused the closings. And this year there was absolutely no contact with the library about trying to bring anything back into their budget. The library does need to be funded more, absolutely. This is one of the reasons I didn't vote for this year's budget. This year we actually had an increase in our digest, and rather than funding the library, we decided to do an across-the-board pay increase. That was the vote of the board. So yes, the library needs to be funded more. We assume everybody has access to the internet. There's many people that don't. The library is very important to many of them. This is something that was a question when we all ran for commissioners the past time, and very much a big issue, very important, and it's important to a lot of people.
Yeah, I am definitely supportive of the libraries, and I think this is a year that we have to add it. In fact, my wife is home with a sick child, and she went to the library this afternoon, in fact, to get books. So it's more than computers, it is books, and I think this is a year to try to work that out.
Just on a simple note, I would be in support of adding some additional funds to be sure that some of the libraries could be open on the weekends. And to be honest with you, I was not aware that Springfield Library was not open on the weekend. But I'd be in favor of raising some funds to do that.
All righty, Pat, if you will.
Actually, one more.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, oops. Now, see there, I told you I was tired. I ain't tired of listening. I just lose my place. Go ahead, Dusty.
Sonny, you come down here and tried to turn off my mic a while ago, and now you don't want me to talk. I see what's going on with
In case you're wondering, I had him turn it just a hair because I think some of that little bit of ringing we're getting once in a while is either mine pointed at that one or Dusty's pointed at that one. But either one of us is loud enough, you know.
Okay. All right. There's certainly room in the budget for the library. If that's what the people want, then, by goodness, get it done. The important thing is for the commissioners to be, I guess, more in touch with the library, to have a better understanding about the library's programs so they can create synergies with the county's activities and integrate the library's activities with the schools, not only the municipalities. These are things that I tried to emphasize and was berated about because people thought that I was against the library. Not the case here, folks, but it's certainly within the budget. If it's what the taxpayers want, get it done. Thank you.
That did work better. Now, Pat, go ahead. That ain't working. Try the bottom of it. I heard it.
There we go. There we go. How can and should the county address its extensive water and sewer debt? Sounds like a short question. I know it's going to be a very long answer. So, but ladies and gentlemen.
All right, I'm going to try to pay attention to order better than answers because this is interesting. Jamie, I believe you're first this time.
That's a very good question. You know, I've recently read where the county is possibly looking at other options as far as paying the water or helping pay the water and sewer. I think there's several things we need to look at as far as, you know, we're currently paying GFA back. We're on a set term with them, certain interest rate, and we need to make sure that if we continue to stay with GFA, we still need to make sure that it's the right way to go, because if we look at another option, there could be other fees that's increased. If we stretch the term out, that is longer period that you're going to pay interest on the note that you have, which in turn, that'll be more money out of the taxpayer's pocket that they will possibly have to pay back, which would not be good. I do not have a specific solution to the water and sewer issue that we have, but I think that is some of the things we need to keep in mind when looking at options to do that. Thank you.
The water and sewer debt is huge. This is one of the biggest things that's a burden on our backs as taxpayers right now. Back when this was put into place, Bucky Satt was quoted in the newspaper as saying that this wouldn't cost the taxpayers 1 red cent. Well, I think we all know that it has. And it's partly, he said that based on the information he had at the time, so I'll give him that credit. But obviously it has, because in fact, we're generating about $180,000 a year in revenue off the water and sewer sales of treatment and sales of water, $180,000 a year. But our payment on this loan is about $200,000 a month. And I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you that's not good. So we've knocked around different ideas. My personal feeling is something that we need to do is we need to have a facilities authority, a non-taxing, board-funded authority. This is something, so it's not like an IDA, not a taxing authority where they set their rate or can set. I'm saying funded by the board. So if the board's not happy with the way it's being operated, it can be unfunded. All right. So that's our solution. And with that, it's absolutely ludicrous for us to be even discussing building another treatment plant in this county. The municipalities that we have, Rincons is a successful sewer system. The way I see this happening is we create, for lack of better, a company, and all the players become a stockholder in this company. Everybody has ownership in it, the municipalities and the county. County has lots of capacity. We have some municipalities that need capacity. The table is, the pad was laying on the table blank. The door's still open. We can make that happen. But the solution to it is refinancing, lower interest rates, and create a facilities authority.
Yeah, extends $25 million over 4 loans. And it's possible an authority could help to try to manage, but clearly the loan is there. Some in the past have mentioned defaulting on the loan. To me, that's not an option. The debt was incurred before I got there, and I'm going to honor it. And we've got to look at other options, bonds. That's our only hope. Users. We need users. So I feel like we've went down the right path, looking at options. So, and we'll continue down that path.
Ms. Vera.
We just had a fellow come in, Trey Monroe from Merchants Capital, and do a presentation for us about refinancing the GFA debt through the means of using an authority, and that is what I am in favor of doing at this time. There's certain things with the GFA loan that we do not comply with the law. And understanding the background is important. You've got to know how you got there to know how to move forward. And basically, the county devised a plan a long time ago to borrow, instead of doing things in phases and doing things where it most needed to be, like you do phase 1, you do phase 2, you go where industrial is needed, you go where commercial is needed, then you go to residential. The county did just the opposite of every kind of planning manual known to man. And they spent millions and millions of dollars on water and sewer and ran it out all over the place and blamed it on developers, like developers were the ones that made the rules. and as if we had to have it, when we did not have to have that sewer. We could have built our own sewers in our own subdivisions. In many cases, didn't want it, asked to not even have it. So with all that being said, they just went out and borrowed a bunch of money, and they promised the taxpayers that no existing taxpayers would have to pay for it. But at the same time, they were signing resolutions that was pledging the tax dollars of those taxpayers, knowing that they didn't have the users. It was a startup system. So those existing citizens were going to have to pay for it. It was never the truth. And that's where we are today. And refinancing will be a way to start, but we must have users. We've got to want users. We've got to want business here, and we've got to take steps to get business here. That's what we've got to do.
We'll proceed to our next question. Back down to this end of our panel. Oh, sorry, I did it again, I swear. You know, it's really...
You are new to this, aren't you?
Listen, it's becoming evident, something that's been true for years. It has to do with Dusty, I think, you know.
There's no doubt.
I love you like a brother, son. Go ahead.
All right. Personally, I think that the county needs to stick with GFA. Okay. GFA needs programs like this to work. That's the reason for their existence. They hang their hat on these programs. GFA will be more lenient than any other finance or lending source. GFA has had no failures to my knowledge. Is an outside finance source going to be as lenient if a default were to happen? GFA, I know, would work with the county in any way it could, even if it meant skip payments. So, you know, sticking with GFA is got to be the way to go. I think the important thing to remember, though, is to not make any slush fund approaches to paying any parts of the loan off. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Just messing with you, by the way. David, good and close to that mic, son. Some of the folks in the back can't quite hear.
The history of how the county ended up with what was about $32 million of water and sewer debt dealt mostly with the condemnation of the Research Forest Tract. Now, there was an IDA board who condemned a piece of property that was approximately 3,000 acres and was supposed to have 6,000 residential units on it. That's why the county's treatment plan is built where it is, and that was the funding that was supposed to help pay for that plan. Now, right or wrong, that wasn't my decision. The IDA condemned the property for industrial purposes. So right now, more than anything, it's just a revenue issue. Where's the revenue going to come from? We're not getting enough impact fees, but refinancing the loan just kicks the can down the road. And most of these bond referendums that are being discussed, there's as much as $1 million in fees to borrow that kind of money. So you're going to add money on top of what you've already got in debt. I couldn't see doing that at this point in time. The county needs to incentivize development along where it has infrastructure so it can get impact fees, so it can get customers. That's the real issue here at hand. We need to put people on the infrastructure where we have it. We don't need to extend any additional infrastructure at the county's cost. Thank you.
All right. Now, Ms. Komanek.
Is it ethical for a voting majority of the board to meet outside of commission meetings and discuss county business?
All right, Steve.
Our board consists of 6 members. All 6 members of the board vote. The chairman now only votes in the need to break a tie or to create a quorum. So we do have a 6 voting member board, technically. But we have a 5 vote majority on normal business items. So it's kind of, if it was 5 votes only and the chairman had absolutely no vote, then certainly 3 would be a quorum, and that is clearly ethically not proper. But in my opinion, it doesn't look good. And in many cases, we have had items that come up to the board that have been discussed, obviously, before the board meeting. So is it illegal to meet, 3 of us to meet together and discuss something, or by email or text or however, telephone? No, not illegal. But is it unethical? I think so. I don't like it. And, you know, I don't like to see I like everything to be out in public. I like to see multiple bids for the things we have done. And if it doesn't look right to the public, then I don't like it. And this is one of the things that people ask me about quite often is this and is 3A quorum. I don't know legally what the answer is, if that could be because it's a voting majority of the 5 votes on normal business. But in my opinion, I don't like it, and I try to stay away from it.
Phil? Yeah, I agree. The legislation, yes, 4 is considered a quorum. It doesn't look good with 3, and I stay away from it when possible. But with any changes, that's the way I conduct myself, and I leave it at that.
Well, like me, love me, or hate me, I'm pretty much willing to say anything that I believe out in front of everybody at all times. So I have no need to meet in some kind of private meeting, because I'll discuss whatever. I believe everything we handle is the people's business, and I'm willing to discuss it in front of the people. I've, in fact, been criticized for discussing public business in front of the people. I've been criticized for standing up and speaking to the planning board in a public planning meeting. So I've fought for reporters to be able to stay in meetings when everyone else in the room wanted to put them out except for me, because I'm happy for everything to be open. So that's where I stand.
Dusty.
You going to include us down here this time?
Well, I guess I picked on you nuts.
Simple answer, simple question, no.
I'll say just a little bit more. It's absolutely unethical.
My answer to that is no, and also it would seem unethical. I think anytime you have a group of folks that are discussing issues before the entire group meets, I think there are important discussion points that are lost in translation, and I think it's a bad image on the commissioners if they're doing that.
All right. Before we go to the next question, and I honestly, I'm friends with so many people up and down this line right here. It's wonderful to hear them answering questions candidly for you. But I look over here at Darrell Hutchison. When we served on the Garden City Council 30 years ago, remember how hard it was? Because not only did you have to worry about a quorum of the full council, but you had to worry about the quorum of any standing committee. We literally had to stop and think before we got in an automobile to go to Carrie Hilliard's. Sometimes there are you just sit there and go, well, wait a minute, Darrell, me and you and Bowen can't be in this car. Bowen, you got to get out. It's easy to be accusative, and I am wonderfully blessed with not knowing any undercurrents here, but I can tell you as one who's been there, you could get your butt in a jam every now and then just because you didn't stop and think, oh crap, this is a quorum of the Water and Sewer Committee, right? Yeah, you know, remember when we had that conversation? 30 years ago. All right. Yes, ma'am.
It is no secret that there is tremendous discord and dissension on the current county commission board. This division has negatively affected many issues surrounding our county. Many citizens wish to see this issue resolved so that the commission as a whole can get back to doing what they were elected to do. Do you think that there is a way to rectify this issue? And if so, what is your solution?
It's me. Of course, if there's dissension, I think first we need to identify what is the dissension. We've got to know what we're trying to work out. And for me, I'm there to serve the 5th District, and I'll continue to do that and make my decisions simply based off what's best for the 5th District. And of course, thinking countywide as well, but primarily for the 5th District. But whatever, if there's any dissension, I'm all for sitting down to work through it. I don't know what it is. That's my answer.
Well, politics, unfortunately, is politics. And, you know, a lot of times if you're doing something You make some people very happy, and you make some people very angry. And that's something that's occurred here in Effingham County. And you know, what Sonny was just referring to, one of the things I said on my list that I stopped was, I stopped us having committee meetings that were unadvertised. Effingham County, in the history of time, had committee meetings set up, a budget committee or this committee or that committee. They did not advertise them, period. I found in the handbook that that was illegal and sent an email with a picture of what the handbook said, this is illegal, and I won't be able to attend anymore. Does that make some people mad? It does, especially after 100 years of doing something a certain way, right? So, you know, sometimes dissension's healthy if it's handled in a healthy way. Personal attacks is something that I try to stay away from. I try to just do business. And when I was on school board, we didn't always agree on everything, but the whole entire time I was there, we worked as a team. It can be done.
I agree with part of that last statement. I think I wouldn't call it dissension. Disagreement does create and stir imagination and creativity in people, and I think it's healthy for debate. But the focal point is always the taxpayer, whether it's your district, the county, or even the board, and working as a team. Working on teams where I didn't like the guy that played next to me. By goodness, we went to the Super Bowl anyway. You know, that's just something you have to do. Put those kind of differences aside and focus on what's important now if you want to win. That's what's win means. But heck, I did it for the last 2 years of my tour duty as chairman. You know, wasn't very friendly with the folks on the board, but you know, by goodness, we got it done. Thank you.
All right. David, if you will.
I love the term politics is politics. Politics is politics, but people should still act like adults. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing and being able to walk out of a meeting and go have lunch together. I don't see that anymore. I don't know at what point in time politics in Effingham County got so I don't know the proper word for it, so angry. I don't really know how you correct that over time. There just needs to be some changes in people's attitudes of, we can disagree, but we should still respect each other enough that we can have a civil conversation after this. Thank you.
All right, sir.
I think everyone should be able to disagree professionally. There's 5 people on the board. There's a chairman at large, 6 different opinions. Obviously, from time to time, you're going to have a disagreement. But everyone is here to represent their district in the county and to come together and help the taxpayers of Effingham County. And if you have a difference, you need to work it out professionally, talk about it, keep open communication. I know sometimes with my job at the Coastal Bank, I don't always agree with the folks I work with, but we work it out, and the end goal is to do the better good for the bank and our customers. And that's the way we need to look at it here with the county. We need to keep open communication, don't make it personal, and just try to keep everything professional. Thank you.
Well, first of all, let me say that there's much more agreement than there is disagreement on the board. There's a lot of business that's taken care of. A lot of things you've heard about tonight is normal business. It's our job. Things that's happened, things that's insurance and roads and such as that, that's what we do. That's our job. So things have gotten done by the board in spite of disagreement on major issues. The problem is the disagreement is about much larger issues than what the agreements are on. The direction of the board. You know, what I'd like to see is what I just attended the other night, what the city of Springfield has done. Their council has grabbed the wagon and pulled in the same direction, and the Mars Theater has been a huge success. I was pleasantly surprised to see that. I had just a little piece of that where Miss Gusty, you know, toted the load on that for 10 years. And, you know, that's an example of a board working together. The solution is the election. If you're not happy with the way I've been doing my job, you don't need to re-elect me. If you're not happy with others, that the way they've been doing their job and conducting themselves, you don't need to re-elect them. There's new candidates out there. So, you know, one of the biggest problems is we have to agree to disagree. Sometimes we can be, we don't agree on an issue. We could walk away and go to lunch together. But there are absolutely times when you either agree with some people on this board or you're wrong.
All right. Well, much as we could stay here all night long, I think there have been some commitments made to some folks. We got some young'uns here too, and perhaps it's best that at least in terms of the dialogue, we move on to closing statements, and you can obviously stay and have some discussion after we're done, but we're going to go to closing statements. I'll reiterate what we've said from the beginning. May civility prevail. May we do our best to recognize that which is in the best interest of this county, speak for those things we intend to do for the betterment of this county. If you choose to use your time otherwise, obviously that is your prerogative. It's just the suggestion of your moderator. And we're going to go in reverse order from the way we began. Ms. Vera, if you will.
Tonight you've heard many different ideas, and as you weed through all the information and decide who to vote for, I say you go for someone with a proven track record. I've been married for 33 years. My husband and I run 4 successful businesses, all here in Effingham County, by choice. We provide hundreds of jobs in Effingham County, by choice. These businesses pay property tax, sales tax, excise tax, personal property tax, license fees, all for the betterment of Effingham County. We've built hundreds of homes that have provided sales tax dollars in the hundreds of thousands of dollars just during the construction phase alone. We've built commercial buildings that have provided new services and jobs and have brought several new businesses to the community. We have built and provided roads and infrastructure for the county with no reimbursement to us at all. Yet my opponents attack the very small business that are the lifeblood of any community, and then they wonder, why is Pooler booming? Many people suffered great losses during the recent recession. However, I still believe in the American dream. I refuse to allow government to overreach, to kill my drive to build a better future for our children and grandchildren. I refuse to allow government to continue to encroach upon and take our rights. I believe government cannot be allowed to take your property without just compensation. They cannot, I believe every citizen should have the right to vote for the candidate of their choice. They should be allowed to speak in public meetings, and I recognize that I serve the people, not the other way around. That when given the facts, the people will choose wisely because they are indeed not the village idiots. I have a proven track record of lowering taxes, cutting the budget, while improving services. I respectfully ask for your vote on May 20th in the Republican primary. May God bless you. May God bless Effingham County and this great country.
I want to tell everybody again how glad I am to see everybody here. As an elected official of this county, it's important to me to always remember that Effingham County is not the county government. Just like a church, it's the people of the church that make the church up, and that's how it is with Effingham County. And it's been an honor to represent the 5th District and everybody of Effingham. In the next 4 years, I do look forward to building on the successes we have accomplished in the last few years. There are wonderful things happening. Taking a countywide approach to fire service and recreation, working with each of the municipalities to find ways to better serve at a lower cost, at a higher level, is in Effingham's future. I'm just fortunate I've been able to be an integral part of that. It's been it's a bumpy road to the top. And in fact, our first 3 years of that climb, we've had hurdles and obstacles. We tackled many issues that have been kicked down the road constantly before taking office. But addressing each of those issues was for the betterment of our county. And I can now say that Effingham County is better and safer today than it was 3 years ago. Your county government is now working in a way that is transparent and open and honest for all of us to see. As I said earlier, your county government is finally working for you, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I'd like to ask for your vote on May 20th, and please hang around. We could talk. If you need to contact me, I've got some information with all my contact info. So I look forward to serving.
Again, I want to reiterate, folks, it really means a lot to us for y'all to be here tonight. We'd really like to see some of these faces. We see some that we see at our county commission meetings, but it's so great to be here tonight with this many people that care enough to take their time out and come out and be with us. Yeah, and I just want to say that I'm going to continue to make the decisions based on the values that I have. People, some of you know me, some of you don't. And my voting record shows those values, and I'll stand on that. One thing you may not know about me is I don't take any campaign contributions from anybody. I just absolutely don't take any. It's not that I'm wealthy by any means, but I don't want to be beholden to anybody, any group, any political action group. I just choose not to do that. It also makes my counting much simpler. So I'm not owned, or I don't owe anybody any favors. One of the things that I'll say too, you might not agree with me on the stand that I take at times on a particular issue, but I believe you're proud of the way I've stood. I try to hold myself to a little higher standard. I try to listen to everybody, make a decision at the meeting when the last thing is said, the last piece of argument is made before I make the decision. And I'm proud of not making rash or unsubstantiated decisions or accusations. This election's not about friends, it's not about family, and it's not about somebody you know at church. This is about who the best candidate for the job is, who has the experience and has the record, and will continue to move forward with it. So all I ask is for you to go out May 20th and vote, and I have your continued support. Thank you.
I won't sit up here tonight and tell y'all that I have all the answers to all the questions, because I do not. But I will say that I do feel that my educational background, my job history, has prepared me to do the legwork it takes to hold this position. As I said in my opening statement, it's obvious that we do have some road conditions, some bad road conditions. I have started doing some legwork, talking with some companies to try and look and try to find a solution. I'm not sitting here saying I've found an exact solution, but I think I'm showing the qualities it takes already to hold this position. As I said earlier, also, I'm very involved in the community, in several civic organizations. Effingham County means a lot to me. I would like to be able to represent District 3 and help District 3 out along with the rest of the county. And I ask for your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. This is my first time running for office. It's been quite interesting. If any of you have ever followed my career path, you'll see that's quite interesting too, as I served as county administrator. But my wife and I really love this community, and we feel it's done a lot for us. And I feel it's also important to give back to the community. Patrice is a lifelong resident. She grew up here. I think many of you know her and have seen her in the community, and she's kind of instilled that community spirit in me as well. So we feel it's very important to try to give back as much as we can. Many of the things that you hear tonight, people taking credit for, are things that the Board of Commissioners has done as a whole for many years. These are plans and processes and procedures and things that were all put in place a long time ago. The important thing is for the Board of Commissioners to continue down a path of long-range planning. You've got to look out to the future. The board is there to provide direction, policies and procedures and ideas and thoughts to staff so that they can make these things happen over time. Effingham Parkway, Old Augusta Road, those are projects that were in place, planned, moving ahead before I started working for the county in 2003. So the credit goes to the Board of Commissioners as a whole as they move forward. But once again, thank you tonight for letting me be here. I appreciate your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
I was just checking to make sure it's okay if I went.
Reluctant, go ahead.
I'm just kidding. Folks, let's, whether you vote for me or not, let's try to put some different people on the board so we can exercise an approach to democracy. Okay? Then let's get back to the county mission statement. but, we can focus on that thing and focus on trending the budget now. Lean our local government. Focus on the long-term planning. Focus on the traffic planning and improvements, and work together with the people that want to help develop our community. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate your audience. I appreciate your patience and your kindness and your humor, and I certainly appreciate all the hands that put on this event. Thanks so much.
Thank you once again, all of you, for being here tonight. And I want to thank especially all of our candidates for being forthright, in some cases blunt, but nonetheless putting the issues forward for the citizens. And Lord knows there was a good, diverse crowd here tonight to hear it. One more round of applause for all of our county commission candidates tonight. We're really grateful for the panel asking good questions, and I know you had many more burning questions you wanted to. I see that, but if you hadn't asked 10-minute questions, Dasher, would everything been all right? I'm just picking. It's like, and I know I shouldn't pick on Dusty, but we have been for years and years and years. Thank you all to the panel. Give them a round of applause. For the refreshments that I didn't get, Randy Shearhouse is still guarding back there like they're his own. Cookie still left? All right. Thank you to the Effingham Herald and Effingham Now for providing the refreshments. We appreciate Dr. Prosser at Effingham College and Career Academy for a wonderful location tonight. And we are grateful to the students from South Effingham High School and Effingham County High School for doing a good job of putting this online. I hope I don't regret it since we've said whatever we've said around the world. A personal note, and this is where I get in trouble. Obviously, I did my best. I hope I didn't offend anybody with setting somewhat of a light tone from the outset tonight. Many of you probably recognize there was method to my madness. I didn't fall off a turnip truck. I know there's tension. And there's no sense letting tension get in the way of good dialogue. The truth resides between extremes and is only found with respect and civility. I love Effingham County. No, I don't live here. My roots are here. I've had involvement here for all of my adult life. Literally, I ran the crew in our family's old construction company that put up the steel for the first Walmart in Rincon when there wasn't anything but Union Bag's little pumping house across the street for the forestry station. And some smart aleck put something in the Savannah Morning News that said, "Let's be careful, Rincon, because we're going to look like Garden City if we're not careful in it." It made me mad. And now it looks like Garden City in Rincon. You with me today? Yeah, there? Except Darrell didn't build low-income housing and moved to Effingham, like he did to Garden City. But that's another issue. Seriously. And guys with the Herald, y'all be kind to me. I'll worry about my internet audience. This is not something that I was asked to do. I hate the controversial stories in Effingham County. There are journalists who slobber at the opportunity to report strife and hardship, but I hate it. Does it happen on my station? Hey, I'm not the czar. I don't own the place, and there are rules of journalism that say when county commissioners are calling each other names, that it's news. But you gotta, as my wife does, see the pain in my eyes when I report it, and I see the potential of this county potentially impaired by people acting in ways their mama wouldn't be proud. Effingham County deserves better. You have a shining example in Herb Jones sitting right out there, who was the minority leader of the Republican Party in the Georgia House of Representatives when there weren't but a handful. But he conducted himself with such decorum that when he left the legislature, the Speaker of the House, a prominent Democrat, shed a tear for the departure of Herb Jones because he was such a gentleman, even though he was on the other side of the aisle. You can disagree and be agreeable. I probably won't ever be asked back. But I'm telling you, the future of this county is too important for it to be lost in backbiting and bickering and meanness and hatefulness. And I know these are wonderful people who get caught in the vortex of the moment, and sometimes you feel the spleen needs venting and something gets said before you wish it was said, and then the next thing you know it's out of hand and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Michael Moore was always a magical genius about handling troubles in the school system without any kind of ripples across the water. There's a good example just like her. When I went on the Chatham legislative delegation, they hated each other. They pulled and they tore at each other's hair, and we just sat down and said, what do we need to do to quit beating each other up in the media? Here's what we did. We went over to Ann Mueller's house at my suggestion, all of us and our wives and our husbands and our children, and we ate collard greens and ham and fried chicken and cornbread, and we told stories, and we played guitar, we played piano, and we sang. And before long, that person that was words I can't say in front of them youngins was a nice person. And whether or not it was Savannah versus Garden City, or old versus young, or black versus white, or Republican versus Democrat, from that point forward, we treated each other with respect, and we were, throughout those years, a successful delegation. And this commission, with all of its challenges, many of them brought on by the economy and not themselves, can do the same thing. Would each of you bring 100 people to the polls? Let the people of Effingham County choose the Board of Commissioners that they need to move it forward. Get rid of the crap, get rid of the jackasses, employ the carpenters, and move this county forward. Amen. Have a good night.